This video will cover steps to complete Access Project 6.3. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and download your start file, and you'll also need to download the resource file. So there will be a picture that we will insert into our database or into one of the forms on our database. So we'll go ahead and start with step 3. And so it's asking us to modify the new product data entry form. So I want to, in my all access objects under the forms list, I'm going to double click new product data entry form. And so the form opened by default in form view. So we want to switch it to design view. And the first thing it wants us to do is make the new product data entry form a data entry only form. So if you don't have the property sheet visible, in the Form Design Tools tab under the Design tab, we want to click on Property Sheet. And you need to, the selection type should be Form, so you can use this drop-down list to select the form. And we want to navigate to the Data tab, and we want to change the Data Entry option to Yes. Alright, and then the next thing we want to do is we want to hide the form navigation buttons. So again, in our property sheet, still making these changes to the whole form, we want to go to the Format tab this time, and we want to change that navigation button to No. So here we have navigation buttons. Right now it's Yes, and we just want to change that to No. Alright, so the next step asks us to add a command button to the lower right corner of the form details section to view a new record. The button should display the text Save and New, and then we'll name the button Control BTN New Record. So when we add this control, it will actually allow us to use the wizard to complete these steps. So to add the control, we want to go up to our control group. Again, we're on the Form Design Tools Design tab, and we want to find the control that has the 3 X's for button. So we'll go ahead and click it. And remember, when you're using a control or inserting a control, you have the option, you don't see it immediately. It changes, your pointer changes, and it allows you to insert it in your desired location. So we want to put this in the lower right corner. So I'm going to kind of put it, I don't know, right about there. And now we have the wizard. So now here we want the command to be a go to the next record or new record. So if we look in the category for record navigation and we look on the actions, this one just kind of is more like advancing through existing records. So if we switch to record operations, now one of the actions is add a new record. So that's what we want. So we can go ahead and click next. And we want to choose the text radio button, and we want to change that text to read Save and New. And then we can go ahead and click next. And then the meaningful name, this is where that BNT, and that's just an abbreviation for button, new record. And then we'll click finish. Okay, so now we have our new control here to save and add a new record. And next we want to add the coffee cup image to the right side of the form at the 4.5 inch mark. Well, right now my form isn't quite at the 4.5 inch mark, so I'm just going to expand the form a little bit. Alright, so now we want to insert the image that we downloaded with our start file. So to do that, we'll go up to the control group. So again, this is the same area that we used to insert the button, but this time we want to do insert image. So we can click on the image icon tool. And again, when we come down here to our document, we have, you know, our pointer changes to the little icon of the image, and now we can insert at the location that it's specified. So we want the 4.5-inch mark. So I'm right here. So I'm going to put my insertion point kind of at that top corner. And now I get the pop-up to select the image. So I'm going to navigate to my downloads, and here is where I saved my downloaded image. So I'll click it, I'll click my coffee cup, okay, and now that image is inserted into my form. Okay, so next we want to change the form title and the form header to add new product. So right now it says products, so we just want to change that to add new product. And now we can save and close this form. So I'll save it, and then I'm going to close it. Alright, so now we want to add a combo box control to the employees form. So we want to double click the employees form, and of course it's in form view, and we want to switch to design view. And so we want this combo box to display values from the employee job titles table, and we want to place the combo box next to the first name control at the 6-inch mark on the horizontal ruler. So we want to come up here again to our controls and find the combo box. Sometimes they're not easy to identify. Okay, so I found the combo box tool here, and it said it wanted us to put it at the 6-inch mark next to the first name. So I'm right here at 6-inch, and I'm right near the first name. And now we're getting this combo box wizard again. So we want to include all fields from the employee job titles table. So we want to get, we want the combo box to get values from another table or query. So we'll go ahead and click next. And this one, now we want to select the employee job titles. And so we can click next, and the available fields, and it told us to select all of them. So there's 2 here. So we can click on the double arrows to select all. And we can sort in the next step. So we go ahead and click next. We want to sort these values by ascending order by employee job title. So we can go ahead and click next. And then we want to modify the column width to fit the data. So to do that, we just want to get that, we want our pointer to change to that double arrow, and then just double click that column to resize it. And we do want to allow access to hide the primary key field. So we want to leave that checked. And then we want to store the value in the existing field. So let's click next in our wizard. And we want to change the radio button to store the value in the existing field, and we want to choose employee job title ID. We'll go ahead and click next, and we want to label this combo box job title. Okay, so go ahead and click finish. And we want to make the combo box control wide enough to display all of the job's title by extending the control to the left 5.5-inch mark. So we just want to hold our mouse on this combo box on the employee job title, and when we get that 2-sided arrow, we can click and drag it over to the 5.5-inch mark. Okay, so now we want to modify the tab order on the employee's form so that job title combo box comes after first name. So to do that, on the Form Design Tools Design tab, we want to come over here and click on Tab Order. So we get that list here. So we want to make sure our combo box, which is what we just added, when someone tabs through this form, we want this to come after first name. So we can click, and when you get that little grayed out box below your mouse, then you can drag it up, and you want that black line to be under the first name, and then you can just let go, and that reorders it for us. Okay, so we can go ahead and click OK. And now we want to add a title in the form header. So we want to display the form header. So to do that, we can come over here again in the Form Design Tools Design tab, and we can click on Title. Now our instructions tells us that we actually will be adding a label control, so we need to go ahead and just remove the objects that's already in the header. So I'm going to select the first object and hit delete, and then I want to select the second object and hit delete. Okay, so now we can extend the height of the form header to the 0.25 mark. So to do that, we just want to get on this ruler, or you can actually be over here at the top of this detail. And we want to go down to the 0.25 mark. So we should be maybe up just a little. We want to make sure that this is a full ½ inch, so I probably went down way too far. So we want about a ½ inch right there. And now we want to add the control label to the form header at the 2½ inch mark. So again, we want to come up here into our controls and find control label. So here this capital A with a lowercase a is the label tool. So I click it, and now when I'm down here, I have that A beside my mouse, and I see here's the 2½ inch mark on the horizontal ruler. So I just click there, and I have that box, and now I can start typing the text. Okay, so it wants us to modify this text. So to modify it, we actually have to select this text box. So you might have to click out of it and then click on it and then select that text. Now we have the option to format. So we want to go on our Form Design Tools. We want to click the Format tab. We want to bold that text. We want to change the font size to 18. And then we want to change the font color to black. And then we want to increase the size of the label control so that the entire title is visible. So I'm actually going to kind of drag the corner, and I went a little too far, but so you should have the tape or the title that looks similar to this. All right, so now we can save and close this form. So I'm going to click Save, and then I'm just going to close it. And now we want to add the supplies table as a subform to the bottom of the products form. So if we're going to add a subform to the suppliers as a subform, then we need to open the products form. And again, we want to switch from form view to design view. And so the fields we want to add from the suppliers table are listed in step A. So again, we want to be in our Form Design Tools on the Design tab in the Controls group, and we want to find that subform. And so on mine, it's the third one from the right. So I'll click it, and it tells us to put it at the bottom of the products form. So I'm just going to put it right below that last field name. And then we get the wizard to help us set this one up. So we want to use fields from an existing table. So we can go ahead and click Next. Now we have the option to choose that table, and we want to use the suppliers table. And it tells us we want to use the supplier ID field, the company, the contact first name, and then the contact last name. So make sure you put those in the right order, and then phone number. So we can go ahead and click Next. And so it says show records in the supplier table for each record in the products table using the field supplier ID. So we want to show suppliers for each record in the products using supplier ID, so we can go ahead and click next. And then we want to accept the suggested name. So the suggested name is supplier subform, and we want to leave it as that. Alright, so we can go ahead and click finish. Alright, so now we have that subform in our form. And it wants us to extend the form details section to the 7.5-inch mark. So right now we're about 5.25. So we're going to extend it to the 7.5-inch mark. And we're going to extend the subform the same width. So we want to take it over to the 7.5-inch mark as well. Alright, so now we want to modify the subform properties to hide the navigation buttons. So if we want to make edits to the actual subform, then we want to select the subform, and we can do that by clicking this little box in the upper left-hand corner. And now we see that our selection type is form for our property sheet. So now we can go to the Format tab, and we can scroll down until we find navigation buttons, and we want to change that from yes to no. And so now we want to switch to layout view. So I'm going to switch to the layout view, and it wants us to adjust the width of each column in the subform to auto fit the content. So we can just put our pointer between the columns, and when we get that two-sided arrow, we can just double click and resize each of the columns. And we can scroll over and get that phone column. Okay. So now we can save and close any of the open database objects. So I'll go ahead and save this and close it. Alright, so step 10, we want to create a navigation form to organize the database tools. So we want to use the navigation form format. On the format type we want to use is horizontal tabs. So of course we want to go to create, and in the forms group we have the navigation tool, and it gives us a list of other options. So this one, for this step, we want to use horizontal tabs. And it wants us to add these forms. So by default, it gives us a field list navigation pane, and if we expand that, it'll show all the tables that we could actually add to this navigation form. But remember, we don't want to really add the tables, we want to add our forms over here. So to do that, the first one we want to add is products. So we can come over here and click on products and just hold it. So when we click and hold, and we can drag it over here, and then we just put it up here where it says add new, and that adds that form to this overall navigation form. So the next one we want to do is new product data entry. So I'm going to click and hold. I'm just going to drag it over. And then I want suppliers. So again, click and hold and drag over and drop. We want to use customers. Click and hold, drag and drop. And then employees. So click and hold, drag and drop. Okay, so now we want to save and close the navigation form. So I'm going to save it, and we want to call this navigation. Go ahead and click OK. And you're finished with the project now. So go ahead and save it and submit it for a grade. And if you have any questions or need additional assistance, feel free to send me an email or give me a call.